call to the member for Mildura.
Thank you, Acting Speaker. And I am more than happy to make a contribution on this bill for voluntary assisted dying. I was not here when the original legislation, of course, came through this place in 2017. But I dare say my opinion of it then would have been the same, and that is a full supporter of it for personal reasons that I will get to later. But just on that personal note, as many members have before in their contribution, the member for Pakenham, who is a force of nature. She is incredible, and the strength and courage that she has shown during her illness, her time in here and today is absolutely exemplary. So I congratulate her on her advocacy. I also wanted to pay tribute to the organisation Dying with Dignity, who I've spoken with a few times, and also I had the absolute pleasure of having lunch with our consulting doctor, our VAD consulting doctor in Mildura last week, who was a wealth of information and was very candid with some of these amendments and some of the barriers. So when reading through the information pack, it was actually quite refreshing to see some of those issues that he raised and some of the barriers that he had struggled with over the course of just over 18 months. He has been the consulting doctor in our region, and in that time has had 38 patients on their VAD journey. One of the things obviously was the address barriers, and in a border community like ours in Mildura on the Murray River, to us that's just a river, but to governments, it is very much two states, three if you consider South Australia, which the member for Lowan spoke about earlier. But obviously in Mildura we have that whole community in Golgol, Wentworth, Dareton, Cumiella, Boronga that they're all New South Wales, but they all use our health services, schools, etc., etc. And for someone who is very much a part of our community, they just have a postcode that starts with a 2 to be ineligible to be assisted with voluntary assisted dying at places like Mildura Base Public Hospital or any of the aged care facilities. The palliative care unit is, it just doesn't make sense. So it is a positive move that that barrier will be removed. The eligibility requirements was also a discussion that came up during the course of that conversation, and the introduction of a new administering practitioner role will hopefully expand the eligible workforce and address some of the workforce shortages, because the supporting doctor, obviously there is 2 needed, and there is one other. There are only 2 doctors in Mildura. So if one of the 2 is on leave, overseas, etc., getting that second doctor can be quite a struggle, particularly if the patient is near end of life and is too ill to travel, because we are many, many hours away. Even though we're considered Loddon Mallee, Bendigo is often harder to get to than Melbourne, and it is a drive. There's no 2 ways around it, it's a drive. So hopefully we will we'll see that barrier come down somewhat. What this doctor, who I'm not going to name because we are a small town, and I want to respect his privacy, but he suggested that telehealth for that supporting doctor role could have been a solution, and I agree, it could be. So again, it was refreshing to see in the information pack the explanation as to why Victorians can't access VAD using telehealth. And that's because of the Commonwealth Criminal Code prohibiting discussion or distribution of information around suicide electronically. Now, And I've heard some people talk about and referring to this as suicide, and I am going to get very personal here for a moment. And I heard the member for Low, and I sat by her during her contribution while she talked about how very different this is, and I appreciate that the Victorian Labor government continues to advocate in this space for changes to the Commonwealth Criminal Code, but voluntary assisted dying is not suicide. I have been to that edge twice, and that is something that takes a long amount of rational thought, consideration, conversation with loved ones. And I can tell you, when you are on the edge of suicide, none of that's present. You are not of sound mind. You are not of rational thinking. You are not in a mood to have conversations with anyone. So when I hear the debate surrounding suicide, for me, and I can only talk about my own experience, this is not it. This is not it. Because it is not the same, and this is something that, and although I wasn't successful on either occasion, thank goodness, this is something that would, and I have said to my husband as well, after seeing my grandmother suffer the effects of Alzheimer's and dementia for a long time, this is something that we would actually have a rational conversation about. But when someone in a mental health crisis is on the edge, like I said, and wanting to end it by any means possible, that is very, very different to this, to voluntary assisted dying. And this bill and the ability to access this in this state is a blessing. And being able to do it with the support of family and loved ones is an absolute blessing. So I don't accept the debate, respectfully of course, but I just don't accept the debate that not being able to discuss things, and that also means mental health support for those that are in a mental health crisis, not being able to discuss this electronically is a real is a real issue that affects regional Victorians each and every day. There are so many lives that could be saved if we could. Anyway, told you I didn't know how my body would react. Anyway, so that is that. And that's why I just consider, and the first time I met with the beautiful people from Dying with Dignity, it didn't take much of a conversation to say, you have my full support, and these amendments, although there are some that may be controversial, and there is more work to be done, particularly in that dementia space, which I believe will come in the future, because it is so tough to sit and watch someone wither away when they live such a vibrant, long life, watching someone wither away with the effects of Alzheimer's and dementia, having someone locked up and it is being locked up in an ECU for 15 to 20 years, is horrific to watch, and it robs them of all their dignity, and it robs them of the life that they had, and that ends up being how they're remembered, not for the vivacious person that they were. So there is still some work to do, but as far as this bill goes and the evolution of this bill and these amendments and moving forward, I could not be more supportive, and I just hope that it keeps evolving into the future. I commend the bill to the House.